Hey everybody, it's about that time. What do you think? Let's take that walk and go see what's in the fridge today. Hey everybody, thanks for stopping by Gregsbeerreviews today. We're going to do us another corked and caged bottle. This particular one is Lost Abbey's Deliverance. And this comes to me from my good friend Ewan and probably his brother that send me beers occasionally. For you guys that don't know, the Lost Abbey is Port Brewing's upper line of beers. And this one is blended ale aged in bourbon and brandy barrels. And this is a big boy. This is a 12.5% by alcohol beer here. I'm not sure they date their stuff, so Ewan put a little note or a little tag on the top of the bottle that this is vintage 2013. So I don't know when in 2013 this was done, but we're in 2015, halfway through 2015 here in July. So depending on what month it was done, this could possibly be 2 years in the bottle. So being a 12.5%er, this beer is going to keep for 20 years. If you sell it correctly, this beer will keep 20 years. We got Right Beer and Beer Advocate here, and they both have different notes as far as commercial description. I'm going to read you both of them as a matter of fact. Commercial description here on Right Beer says, our first release of the embodiment of good versus evil in barrel-aged blend. Part bourbon barreled, the Serpent Stout, and part brandy barreled, the Angel's Share. This is our most anticipated release of the summer. So that tells me right there that they do this sometime about this time of the year. So I'm thinking this beer is 2 years old in the bottle. Over to Beer Advocate, they say a blend of bourbon barrel, Serpent Stout, brandy barrel aged Angel Stout. Deliverance is the epic battle being waged between heaven and hell for the souls of mortal men and your enjoyment in a glass. Well, we'll see about that. I've got my double glass here for this particular beer today. A little bit bigger glass, and hopefully we're going to pour this kind of aggressive to see what happens with a 12.5%er. The food pairings for this style of beer, guys, says here. Food pairings. Cheeses are nutty, Asiago, Colby, Parmesan, and there's no meat listed here. Glass bars, pint, glass, Becker, Nonic, tumbler, snifter, mug, or Stein Seidel. I'm going to use a double glass for this one today, guys. And it says here can be sold for long periods. Like I said, 12.5%. There's no hop forwardness to this. There's no reason why this beer cannot be sold 5, 10, 15, even 20 years. So let's get the cage and cork out of this one and see what this one brings to the table. If I can get my hands on this thing and get it to twist, a lot of times these corks are hard to get out. It's moving, but it's tight. Hopefully it don't spew all over the place. I don't expect that from a 12.5%. American Strong Ale. Alrighty, here we go. See what kind of pop we get on this one. Got it sideways anyway. No pop. Absolutely no pop. I hope it's carbonated. We got no pop on that at all. Kind of concerned about that. not looking good, guys. I don't think the beer is carbonated. I really don't. Look at that. I got no pop when I pulled that cork out. That's sad. That's like pouring a flat Coca-Cola in a glass. Absolutely no carbonation, no fizz. Over to the light, it is pitch black. It's the darkest night, guys. No light whatsoever. And no carbonation whatsoever. Very sad. Very sad. And they do this kind of stuff with a cage and a cork to keep that carbonation in there. And it didn't work this time, evidently. Look at that. So, I don't know what we're going to get here. E1, it looks like we got a flat beer. We had no carbonation, no pop from the bottle. Let's get a nose on it and see what we have here, guys. Definitely getting the bourbon. Maybe some hints of some brandy in there, but the bourbon is overpowering the brandy to me. I've never drank a whole lot of brandy in my younger days. I don't drink any now. But I did drink some bourbon. I did drink some bourbon in my younger days, and I know what that smells like. If it had no bourbon influences there, and it was just brandy barrel only, I may be able to pick up those notes a little bit better. But being blended from a brandy barrel and a bourbon barrel, to me, the bourbon is overpowering the brandy. But it is zero carbonation, guys. Absolutely none. Zero. Well, let's see what it brings to the table. I'm kind of sad because I was expecting a little bit of a pop to tell me it was a little bit of carbonation in the bottle. Cheers. The beer's flat. That's sad. Because I know this is not a cheap bottle. I know E1 probably paid $12 to $15 probably for this bottle of this, and it's not carbonated. Let me tell you what I'm getting, though. Definitely getting the bourbon. I am getting some coconut, some vanilla from the barrels. It's got a nice sweetness to it, but there is some alcohol in there, and at 12.5%. Glad I didn't cellar this one for 5 or 10 years and to end up with a flat bottle of beer. I wonder if we can generate any head. No. And being as dark as it is, I can't see if there's any bubbles streaming up or doing anything crazy in there. It just looks like a... This looks flat. Once you get to this style of beer with this much ABV, a lot of times it's hard to tell whether it's flat or non-carbonated or it's lost its carbonation, because a lot of times you still get the taste of the beer, the bourbon and the roasted malt and some dark fruit and maybe hints of coffee. And I'm getting a lot of that, but I'm not getting any carbonation, zero carbonation. And I'm a big fan of port brewing, and I'm a big fan of the Lost Abbey series that they do. This is the first beer that I can remember doing out of 1,700 plus beer reviews that had a cork or a cage in it, that I had absolutely no pop when I took the cork and the cage out of it. A lot of times it's the other way around. Stuff will start spewing out of the bottle, especially if it's been re-fermented in the bottle. They've added some additional yeast or sugar in there. It's not a bad beer. I mean, I'm not telling you it's a bad beer, but I'm telling you there is no carbonation in this beer. It's either undercarbonated or it's lost its carbonation, one or the other. But let it warm up. let her give a taste and sip on it for just a little bit. But I am disappointed that there was absolutely no carbonation, no pop, no hiss, no fizz, no nothing to this beer. I mean, I've had 19% beers have more carbonation than this. So, let's see where it ends up. I'll be right back. Alright guys, I'm back. Been sipping on it about 45 minutes or so. It's a great beer. It's just not carbonated. I mean, it was non-carbonated from the pour. It was, I don't know what's going on, what happened with this beer. Very nice. Got the bourbon. And it's overpowering the rum or the brandy barrels that they use in this. The bourbon is just off the chain. Very heavy bourbon in this. But it's not carbonated. It's a flat beer. Oh, and I don't think it's deterring a lot. It is deterring a little bit, but it's not deterring a lot from the style of the beer. There is some dark fruit in there, maybe some plums, raisins, or dates in there, and from the bourbon barrels. I'm definitely getting the bourbon. Bourbon is just off the chain. It's there. It's there. Maybe you can have some bittersweet chocolate, some toffee, caramel. I'm just slightly disappointed over the carbonation of this beer. It's not there. It's non-existent. So, final chug. Wow. Very delicious. Just the carbonation is not there. It's like drinking a flat beer. And if it was a flat IPA or a double IPA, it would be very bad. But in this style, in this stout style, bourbon and brandy barrel aged, it's not as noticeable, but it is noticeable. Not as noticeable. But it should have a little more carbonation than what this one had when we popped the cork out of it with no pop. Or no carbonation in the pour. Straight down the center. Absolutely no head at all. For 12.5%, it's a very well made beer. Slight booziness, not much, but it's fresh. I mean, if it was carbonated and you cellared this, I got a feeling it would probably be pretty tasty 5 or 10 years down the road after everything come together a little bit better. But to me, guys, it's a 10 beer in a 9 bottle. Because of the carbonation, the lack of carbonation. So that's where I'm going to put it. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. Over to Beer Advocate, they say 96 world class. Wouldn't argue with that a bit. If I was putting a rating on this, it would probably be a 96 or a 97, somewhere in that area. And over to Rate Beer says overall 100 and 100 in this style. So maybe those guys got a carbonated bottle. I don't know. I'm just judging on what I have got here in front of me tonight, guys, or today. And it had zero carbonation, absolutely none, zilch, nada, zip, none. So I think something happened there. Very unusual for me or anybody to have a corked and caged bottle that had no carbonation. So I think something happened there. I think something definitely happened there. I was expecting a little bit of carbonation. But I got none. I got zero. So, good beer. It's definitely a good beer. But I think it could be better with a tad of carbonation. So, from what I've read, nobody else has experienced this. So, maybe they've got a bad bottle as far as the carbonation. But not a bad bottle as far as the style of the beer. So, as far as I'm concerned, guys, it's a 10 beer and a 9 bottle because of the carbonation. So, if you've had this one from Lost Abbey, their Deliverance, which is an American Strong Ale, tasted more like a stout to me than a American Strong Ale. It did. It was very dark, very black. Could not see any light through it. To me, it's like an uncarbonated stout. So I'm gonna leave it at that. If you've had this one from them, the Deliverance from Lost Abbey, I think it's a great beer. I really do. I just think it lacked the carbonation that it should have had. So, with that being said, if you've had it and you've experienced this beer and had more carbonation than what you see me pour here and have here, let me know. Maybe I've got a bad bottle here. But anyone, thanks for sending it to me. I cannot get Lost Abbey beers. I can't get Pork Brewing beers at all here. So I have to depend on what you guys send me to review these beers. And it was very tasty. I was just disappointed in the carbonation. So if you've had it, let me know what you think of it. And as always, come on back tomorrow. Let's go see what's in the fridge. See you then.